Hey, welcome back to the Crabby Dice. Today we're looking at the expansion for Speicherstadt called Kaispeicher, which I'm probably butchering the name of. Alright, so this is a great expansion for the base game. For this video, I'm just going to go through the rules setup, breakdown, and maybe a couple of rounds of the playthrough, because it plays very similarly to the base game, so I don't really need to do a full playthrough. Before we start, please like, subscribe, and comment on my YouTube channel. That would be fantastic. Let's go. Alright, first let's just talk about what's in the box and how to set it up. Alright, first you're going to get metal coins. Metal coins are awesome. You can toss those plastic ones into the garbage. Metal ones are great. You're also going to get a new start card, because in the base game usually it was a metal coin that said who was first player. Now you'll actually get a card, and everyone's going to get metal coins. Alright, so that's great. Next, you're going to get a whole stack of cards. Alright, I'm pretty sure you're doubling the amount of cards in the game, or close to, so you're just going to shuffle the A cards into the A deck, the B cards in the B deck, and C cards and so on, and D cards into the D deck. Alright, just like you would in the base game, just shuffle them all together, you're good to go. Just as a reminder, friendly reminder, there still are cards you need to remove from the base game if you're not playing with exactly 4 players. So if you're playing 2, 3, or 5, go get those cards, remove them from the game. They're all from the D deck. Alright. Just a general note on some cards. For the new cards, there are these 2 pause cards, and there are some meeples that might get introduced into the game depending on certain cards being purchased. For example, this coffee break card is where that player is going to pick up these pause cards. So just have these handy on the side of the board, and you might have to hand them out during the game. Okay, just some extra stuff. We're each going to start with an extra meeple, which is great because it's going to deal with the cards on top there, so give everyone their extra meeple. And lastly, there are new goods. Alright, so there's going to be 3 new colored of goods. I'm not going to explain to you which types they actually are. They're just blue, pink, and gray. You're going to add those into the bag just like normal, give it a good shuffle, and you're pretty much ready to go. Alright, let's talk about the rules difference between this and the base game. Okay, so let's go through all the phases, and I'll just tell you what's different in every phase. So you're still gonna have the same 5 phases. Alright, so the first phase, which was putting out the card display here, you're gonna still put out the number of cards equal to the amount of meeples. So here you go, if I'm playing a 3-player game, you're gonna put out 4 cards just as normal. But this time, you're also gonna play the same amount of cards above the board. Alright, so if you're playing 4 cards in the river, you're gonna have 4 cards up there. If you're playing 4 players and you're putting 5 cards in the river, you're gonna put 5 cards up there. Alright, that's the only difference for phase 1. Now, for phase 2, when placing your meeple, another option you have is to actually reserve a card that's above. Okay, so the bottom part works exactly like it normally is. You're going to place it above the columns and so on and so on. But for the cards above, what you're going to do is you're going to place your meeple on top, and then you're going to move it to the right hand side of the board. Alright, you're sort of creating a queue of cards. Alright, then the next player might go, and let's say after doing a few bids, he's going to reserve the next card. And let's say the next player reserved the next card. You don't have to reserve all the cards. I'm just showing you with an example of players reserving these cards. And let's say this player reserved this card. Alright, let's just say these other ones were all placed on the board to bid on these cards. But pretty much that's the difference in phase 2. You're reserving the cards that were on the top. You're going to move them to the right hand side here. Alright, let's jump on to phase 3, which is the actual purchasing of the cards. So now, what's going to happen is, for the cards, you treat them exactly like you would in the base game. So you're always going to start from left to right here. So you're going to see who wants this card, see who wants this card, pay the amount for the meeple, see who wants this one, and see who wants this one. Done. So that stays exactly the same. After dealing with the cards on the river, what you're going to do is you're going to deal with the cards in the reserve here. And how this works is almost the exact same way as bidding for the stuff here. You're going to go player by player, and the cost of that card is going to be how many cards are currently in the reserve. So for example, if white wants this card, he's going to have to pay 4 coins into the reserve. If he wants it, he pays and he takes the card. If he doesn't, this card goes to the discard. Alright, and then you do the same thing. So now the next card, purple's going to have to pay 3 for that card. Does he want it? Yes or no? Takes it or not? Maybe gets discarded if he doesn't want to pay, and so on and so on. Now orange has to pay 2. gets discarded, or he pays for it. Let's say he pays for it, whatever. And then white has to pay 1. Let's say he pays 1, so he takes it. There you go. And that's pretty much the difference in the rules for phase 3. Those cards get pushed to the side, and then you gotta pay for the amount of those cards that currently are on the right hand side of the board. Alright, phase 4. The loading phase is exactly the same, nothing changes. You just might have those extra 3 types of goods in the bag that come out. You have extra different kind of cards that you might be able to manipulate, but the phase is pretty much the same thing. And finally we get to phase 5, and my favorite change in the game is during the income phase, you get 2 coins instead of 1 coin. Alright, so you get 2 coins if you bought a card, and you get 3 coins if you didn't buy a card. Now the reason you're getting extra income is because you're going to end up spending a lot more money because of the reserve cards on the right. Alright, those are pretty much all the rule changes for the expansion without going to the minutia of every single card. Like there's these pause cards that lets you actually skip your turn and wait so you don't have to place a meeple to bid. You basically skip your turn. There's other ways to score in many different cards. There's ways to move cubes around, steal cubes, a little take that, different ways to score. For example, these cards, now you can turn in a good to score points. But those are just minutia changes in the types of cards that are introduced into the game. Alright, let me just give you my thoughts on the Kaispeicher expansion before I do a small playthrough of a couple of rounds. It's hard to talk about this one because for me it's a must-own expansion, but unfortunately it's so out of print and it's impossible to find that. What I would suggest is just get Jorvik, and it comes with the expansion already built in, so you don't have to mess around with trying to find this one. Yeah, so it introduced a lot of great things, almost nothing I would not play with. Alright, so just the cards, they double the amount of cards, and the cards, I wouldn't say fix the game, but add variety and add things like more counting offices so you can actually try to get the 14 points. So that is fixed in the game. More firemen, so you're not stuck with low amounts because it's impossible to find a fireman. So you get that. You get abilities to score extra points for goods that you're not going to end up using during the game, which is fantastic. You get more contracts. You introduce 3 more goods which have contracts with just those goods on them that score 5 to 8 points just by getting 1 or 2 of those special goods, which is great. You introduce new abilities, so you have the coffee break, you have new gray meeples that you can introduce into the game. You got ways to manipulate the guys on the board, a little bit more variety. It's all good. There's no card in the deck that I don't really like. The only one that I might not like is the smuggler, I believe, who steals a good off somebody else's board. Not the best card, but it's one card in the whole deck which has now I think like 150 cards, so you know what, I'm not gonna complain that much. Add to the point where I think this expansion was less than 30 bucks and they give you metal coins with an extra 100 something cards. It was fantastic value when it came out. Unfortunately it was a small print run. Yeah, so there's the game. Let's just talk about mechanisms. I find the reserve system amazing. I love it. The extra meeple, another amazing addition. I would play with the extra meeple even without playing with that extra stuff on top, because the extra meeple is awesome. It raises prices, it makes people not want to buy all the time right away, so people get second chances, third chances, fourth chances to get cards. Another rule I absolutely adore is the 2 coins instead of 1 coin during the income phase. I would play with that even if I'm just playing with the base game. So even if you don't have the expansion, find an extra meeple and just give people an extra coin during the income phase. Alright, just get another meeple from another game and play with 4 meeples, because it would be awesome. What else? So you end up with a bit higher score, just to round things out here. You end up with a little bit of a higher score with using the expansion, because you are going to have, I guess, more rounds. So you're going to have more cards, you're going to have more things. There's more goods introduced in the game, so you're going to end up with a higher score. I am going to just mention on that for a second. Because you're almost doubling the cards in the deck, the game is going to last 20 to 30 more minutes. You can't sort of prevent that from happening. it is gonna happen. So you're turning a 1 hour or less game into an hour, 15 hour, 30 game. It's still great. I still play it in that time. It's still reasonable for this auction game. Once you know what you're doing, you can speed it up, and there you go. So it still works fantastic no matter the player count. So you're just introducing more cards into the river and into the display up there, and you're good to go. So all great things. I say it's a must. Unfortunately, don't pay too much for it. Just go get Jorvik. It's introduced into that game, so you're fine. Alright, so let's go into a short playthrough. I'll just show you a couple of rounds on how the system works. Hey, welcome to the Kaispeicher playthrough. I'm just going to do a couple of rounds just to show you how things flow. I'm not going to do a full game because it's very, very similar to the base game. So click on the link below if you want to see the base game setup, rules, and playthrough, so on and so on and so on. I'm just going to have some stuff on the game board here just to save on space. There you go. Let's get started. So what are the changes? So in phase 1, which is the supply phase, instead of just putting cards onto the river here, you're also going to put the same amount of cards above the board, and that's sort of going to be like a reserve system that we're going to use to place meeples. Alright, so let me just get started here. We are going to start with an extra meeple, which is fantastic. So I'm just going to do this quick. Let's say he wants to get a contract here, and he wants to get one of these, and purple says no, I'm going to raise the price for this. And let's say white is going to go here, and then orange is going to say no, I want that contract. And then purple comes here, and now let's say white says, you know what, I'm interested in this fireman. Then orange says no, I really like this contract, so I'm going to raise the price for you, white. And then purple says, you know what, I'm going to raise the price here. And then white says no, I want to get that card. Alright, now orange says, you know what, I want that counting office. And purple says, what does purple want? I think purple is not interested in any of those cards. Actually, he doesn't mind getting the price spice trader for only 1 coin. So what you're going to notice is anything you take from the top, you can know the price automatically by going on the card, right? So actually, one thing I forgot to do is as soon as somebody bids on the card, it's supposed to flow onto the right hand side here. So I'm already forgetting something, sorry about that. So white was on the first one here, and orange bid on the second one here. So once somebody selects one of those cards, you have to move it onto the side to sort of indicate what the price is going to be, right? So just to give you an idea, we already know when it comes to white's turn what the price of this card is going to be. It's going to be 3 because there's 3 cards on the right. So if purple didn't bid on that card or reserve that card, it would have only have been 2, which would have been great to buy for 2, but now for 3 maybe he's not going to buy it. And that's the difference in phase 2. So we just did phase 2, which is putting out our meeples, and now we're going to do phase 3, which is purchasing, which I just explained, but we'll do it one by one. So again, you're always going to start with the river and just work as per normal. So let's say purple pays a coin for this card, so he keeps it, takes back his meeple. Let's say for this card, white doesn't want it for that price, then orange is obviously going to pass with this one, and then he'll pay 1 for this card, say something like that. And then we're going to jump to this card, and let's say white pays 2 for that card, so he's going to take this card. Now we'll jump onto this. Orange doesn't want it for 3. Let's say purple takes it for 2. Alright, so all that was the same, just like in the base game. Now after dealing with the river, you're going to deal with the cards in reserve. So white can buy this card for 3. Let's say he doesn't want to buy it for 3, so this is going to get discarded. Gets back his meeple. Now orange can buy this for 2. So you see how it goes? It's almost exactly like this. So let's say he does, he pays 2, takes this card, adds it to his display. And now purple can buy this for 1. Obviously he'll buy it for 1. He'll do that, and he'll put it in. Alright, there you go. That was phase 3. The only change is the extra cards on the right. You'll have to pay more depending on how many cards are in the reserve. Okay? Go to phase 4, which is the manipulation of the cubes in your play area. Obviously in phase 1, as you know from the base game, there are no cubes. They get introduced when the B deck starts appearing, which isn't for a while now. So that's that. And then you go to the income phase. So income phase, the difference is everyone's going to get 2 coins instead of 1 coin, which is such a fantastic addition. 2, 2, 2. Now, if you didn't buy any cards, you actually get 3 cards. Okay. For any card that was not bid on or reserved, it goes into the discard just like in the base game. Alright, there you go. That was the first turn. Pretty simple. And now you're just going to keep doing that. Let's fast forward this into a future round here. Let's pretend we're in the B deck. So let's flip over 4 cards. There you go. Some of those are pay stubs that I put in just because this is the German copy. So this one you can avoid fires by paying 2 coins, and this one is this is the gray worker one. So if you get this one, you get the gray workers, and you can use them in the future. Okay. So just like usual, you're gonna take your cubes whenever there's a ship. You add the cubes on top, and you might get the special cube. So there's 3 new colors of cubes: gray, pink, and blue. And they might come out now. So there's only 3 of each, so you gotta be careful, alright? Alright, and then you go to the next, you continue the round. So let's say the first player was orange here. So orange is gonna bid first. And it's the same process, right? So let's say he bids 1 here because he's pretty sure he's gonna get this for 1 coin. I don't think anyone's gonna pay more than 1 coin for a 1-point card. That would be insane. Let's say purple wants that. Then white says not so fast. Let's say he wants that contract. Purple takes this contract. Let's do that. And now orange says, let's do that. Purple's gonna do that. And white's gonna do that. Let's just say orange does this. Oh, I forgot to move the card again. Alright, it's just 1 minor change, and it's going to throw me through a loop every time. So remember, every time you bid on a card, you move to the right. Let's say he wants to take the gray worker guy, like that. And finally white really wants this card, so let him do that. Alright, something like this. Okay, so it's phase 2, and phase 3 is you go through the cards again. So purple, let's say, doesn't want to buy for this. White doesn't buy for this. Purple doesn't buy for this. Now he's gonna pass, and now white finally gets to buy for 1. All right, something like that. So white's gonna get it back, pay 1 coin, get the boat, and so on and so on. So I'm not gonna go through it again. Let's just say orange buys it for 2. Something like that. Let's say here purple passes, orange passes, so this gets discarded. And then here orange buys it for 1. Somebody could have gone behind, and orange would have passed and they would have got it for 1, but I don't think anyone was really interested in getting a 1-point card. And then we deal with the cards on the side here. So orange has to pay 2 for that. He only has 1 coin. Maybe he should have kept his extra coin, but anyway, so he passes on this. And then purple gets to get this card for 1. He's gonna pay 1. He's gonna get this card. And this is the card that comes with 2 meeples. Alright, so just read the cards. Some of the cards say now you can use a gray meeple on the board, but then it gets discarded at the end of the round. This will just raise prices for other players' cards, and so on and so on and so on. Okay, and you know what? I'm not gonna show you more of the game. It plays extremely similar to the base game, so just do that. Every time you bid on a card, it slides to the right. You can have new abilities, so on and so on and so on. It's all good stuff. Just a reminder, please like, subscribe, and comment on my YouTube channel. If not, we'll see you in the next video. Later.